This story is about Isla, who lives with her mean mother-in-law. Her husband is indifferent to Isla and her family. One day, when the 1-year anniversary of her father-in-law's death was approaching, Isla's work became too busy. When she told her husband that she might miss the memorial service, he objected strongly, but in the end, Isla chose to work. On the day of the memorial service, as expected, her mother-in-law became furious and started to verbally abuse her at once. Finally, she even asked for a divorce. Isla didn't change her expression at all and agreed to the divorce. What will happen to the relationship between Isla and her mother-in-law? This is the story of Isla. My mother-in-law was furious when I missed a family's memorial service because of work. I did as I was told and divorced her son immediately. I started living with my mother-in-law about a year ago when my father-in-law passed away. And as I expected, or even more than I expected, it's been tough because of the stress. I think she must miss her husband, and I want to be nice to her and get along with her. But seeing her attitude blows all those warm feelings away. I don't think it's just a level of wife snoring anymore. It's like she enjoys saying mean things to me. She doesn't like everything I do. Until then, it was easy for me to make all the rules at home. But since my mother-in-law came, she's been imposing her own rules on me. That's one of the things that gets on my nerves. Each one is a small thing. For example, how to clean, how to season the food, that kind of thing. I was surprised that she even set a wake-up time. My husband and I both have jobs, but she's always nagging me to do my chores before I go to work in the morning. Every time I come home a little late from work, she tells me to do it. If you're going to come home late at night like this and neglect the chores at home, then get up earlier in the morning and do them perfectly before you go to work. After that, I have to get up an hour earlier every morning, and she goes out of her way to wake me up. It's too depressing in the morning. I'm supposed to do some mopping up, meal prep. She wants me to cook dinner in the morning, and my mother-in-law's home all day, so I have to cook lunch for her too. To be honest, I'd rather she does that herself. I told her she can use the ingredients as she pleases. Cooking is a wife's job. If I take that away from you, there's no point in you being in this house. When she said that to me, I was really offended. What's the point of being in this house if you don't cook? It's impossible to be friends with a mother-in-law like that. Whenever she opens her mouth, all she does is say sarcastic things, so it's very stressful. Sadly, my husband is indifferent. He knows all about what I'm being told by my mother-in-law, but he doesn't seem to care. That pisses me off again, and it's even more stressful. I've given up on it now, though. She's his mother, so I want him to talk to her. The last time I got so angry at my mother-in-law that I almost exploded. I complained to my husband. You're only going to make things worse if you're so frustrated. Mom's personality can't be cured, so don't get your hopes up. She's an old woman, over 60 now. Why don't you be a little nicer to her? He said it like that, as if it was my fault for some reason. It made me feel that I've had enough. It's true that she's over 60, but she's still walking around fine. And as you know, she's got a good mouth. There's no need to be nice to her. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I can't stand it when she complains about it. I'm so irritated with my mother-in-law and my husband these days that I'm happiest when I'm at work. My mother-in-law has very old-fashioned values. She doesn't like the fact that I'm working in the first place. The idea of a woman trying to build a career outside the home is crazy. It's best to shut up and do things at home. I haven't been able to see my grandchildren because you've been working. How can you take responsibility for that? I've heard such sarcasm before. To be honest, whether you want to have children or not is a matter for the couple, isn't it? Not only me, but also my husband made the choice not to have children. But she made it sound like I was the only one who was to blame. That hurt me a lot. If I could, I would want my mother-in-law to leave. But I can't say that. I'd only be blamed more and more. My husband isn't understanding, and I can't expect him to be. So, I'll just have to put up with it. I never thought this would happen. I wish I could have done better, even if I had to live with them. I think it's the role of the children to take care of their parents, and I can't just give up on her. But it would have made all the difference if my husband had at least been a little more direct with my mother-in-law. She can't expect her mother-in-law and husband to change. I wonder if Isla will have to continue to put up with them. Then, after a while, we have the first anniversary of my father-in-law's death in a couple of weeks. However, my work has been getting very busy lately, and I don't think I'll be able to make it to the memorial service. I talked to my husband about it, and he didn't care about my feelings at all.
You don't know how mad my mother would be if you told her you weren't going to be at the memorial service. Even you can imagine that, can't you? It's the first anniversary of his death, so you have to put the memorial service before work. I'm sure there's someone else who can take your place at work, right?
He said so, and it made me so angry again. It's not a matter of having a replacement or anything. If I take time off work at such a busy time, it will cause trouble for the other people and ruin my credibility. People don't blame me for taking time off, but in their hearts, they think differently. If you were in my shoes, you would definitely have put work ahead of your personal business, wouldn't you? That's what I said back to him, but he didn't agree.
I'm a man. I'm supposed to put work first. But you're different. It's not right that my wife doesn't attend the memorial service. What do you think my relatives will think? They'll be appalled. I happen to be able to take that day off, so I'll go, but it's embarrassing that my wife won't be next to me.
I didn't know anything about that. Regardless of what you think, my work is important to me too. That kind of thinking about being a woman or a man is ridiculous. I think both you and your mother need to change your values.
You sound so arrogant. You say work is so important to you, but you haven't even gotten much of a promotion.
You're so pathetic. How can you say such heartless things? I'm working to get ahead.
Well, I don't think it's worth it. How old are you chasing after ideals?
In the end, he looked down on me like this. I was so frustrated and sad that I couldn't believe it. I thought it would be a waste of time to talk about it anymore, since we would just keep fighting. That's enough. If that's what you want to say, I'll do whatever you want. I said that and forced him to end the conversation. By the way, I'm going to be at work, not at the memorial service. As for my father-in-law, I honestly don't know much about him. He was a quiet man. We hardly ever talked, but from what my mother-in-law told me, he was quiet and a husbandly man. I think my husband grew up like that, so he has old-fashioned values too. I'm sure we'll probably have another fight on the day of the memorial service, but I won't let them beat me. Trouble never seems to stop in Isla's family. The day of the memorial service is sure to be rough as well. I'm more worried about her mother-in-law's reaction than her husband's, but I wonder how it will turn out. The day of the memorial service, I went to work, of course. I didn't want to be bothered with anything that morning, so I got out of the house before my husband and mother-in-law woke up. But my mother-in-law called me when she woke up and was furious with me. And she kept calling me repeatedly, even though she knew I was at work. I had no choice but to answer the phone. And then I heard a very angry voice that made my ears hurt. "Where the heck are you now? I woke up and you were gone. Did you really go back to work? Didn't I tell you in advance that today was a memorial service?" "Yes, you told me, but I couldn't take off work today, so I'm going to have to be absent." "Absent? What kind of nonsense are you talking? You have no common sense." "I'm sorry, but it's work." "This is exactly why I said that woman should stop working. My son is going to attend the service, but you, his wife, is not? What kind of wife are you?" "I told my husband that I was working." "If you really aren't going to come, you should leave my son." "Yes?" "I'm telling you that you should get a divorce. My son will have a hard time with a wife like you. I don't want him to be embarrassed anymore because of you." My mother-in-law's words made me freeze for a moment, but then I quickly cut her off. "I understand, then I'll get a divorce. If I can get there today, I will go to the town hall and get the divorce papers. I'll fill it out when I get back, so please tell your son that too." I said that and hung up the phone without listening to my mother-in-law's reply. Of course, since I said I was divorcing him, I really am divorcing him. I've reached the end of my patience with her asking me to leave every time she does this. My husband probably knew I was at work and didn't stop my mother-in-law from calling me. And I'll be more stressed if I stay with those two any longer. I don't know what's going to happen now, but I've already made up my mind. I'm glad that my mother-in-law asked me to do it. That's how positive I am about the divorce. I have a job and I can make my own living, even if we get a divorce. If anything, I might be happier away from those people than I am now. The mother-in-law's statement took an unexpected turn, but Isla is surprisingly willing to get on board. I don't know about the true intentions of her husband and mother-in-law at this point, but I wonder if Isla will really divorce after this. When I got home after work, my mother-in-law and husband were waiting for me. "You hung up on me this morning," she said. "I'm going to get a divorce. Yes, I got the divorce papers," I told her. I held the divorce papers out in front of them. My husband looked a little pale when he saw them.
Hey, you can't be serious, can you? You wouldn't go to all this trouble just to shut Mom up, would you? All you had to do was apologize for what you did today, and that would have been the end of it, right?
That's what he said. So I made my intentions clear. I'm not going to apologize, and I don't mean that as a threat. You're the one who asked for the divorce, but I'm the one who made the decision. Now just go ahead and sign the papers. I'm getting out of this house.
Wait a minute, calm down. You don't have to decide on divorce so soon.
No, to be honest, I've had enough. I'm sick and tired of being bullied by your mother, of you pretending you don't see it, of everything. So divorce me. If you don't do it soon, your mother will yell at me again. When I said that, he fell silent, and my mother-in-law looked very surprised. I told you to get a divorce, but I didn't mean it seriously. Are you out of your mind? Yes, I'm quite normal. I'm rather glad you told me to get a divorce. You've made my mind up. I'm sure you would be satisfied if your son and I got divorced, wouldn't you? Please tell him to sign the papers. Then even my mother-in-law fell silent. I was disgusted to see them like that. I told you to divorce my son because I thought you would do the right thing. Did you really tell me to divorce your son without expecting this to happen? And couldn't you have at least predicted that this would eventually happen if you continued to ignore your mother and me? I questioned them both, and surprisingly, my husband apologized.
Isla, I'm sorry. You must have been concerned that badly. I just thought that since you've always been so concerned about Mom, no matter what, you'd be okay. I don't want a divorce. Please, I beg you, reconsider.
Although I was surprised by his honest apology, it didn't change my mind or stop me. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to reconsider. Even if you apologize now, it's too late. I've had enough. That's why I got the divorce papers right away like this. Then, my mother-in-law rushed to mediate. But since he's apologizing like this, shouldn't you think a little bit about it? My son seems to be sorry for what he did. You're the one who started all this, aren't you? That may be true, but... Actually, you're the main reason I want a divorce in the first place, you know. What? I can't stand your bullying anymore. I want to leave as soon as possible. I told this to her face, and for some reason, my husband joined in.
That's right. It's all your fault, Mom. You've brought this on us by giving Isla a hard time. Don't just make me apologize. You should apologize too.
I don't know if she didn't expect her son to be angry with her, but my mother-in-law looked shocked. But in the end, she and my husband bowed down to me. I'm sorry. I didn't think it would come to this. If it's that hard for you, I'll help with the housework from now on. Please, reconsider the divorce. I'm sorry. I really can't. I think it's nice to finally get an apology from both of you, but it doesn't change my mind. I've thought about divorce many times before. Each time I put up with it, but I won't put up with it anymore. When I told them that once and for all, they both looked pale. Needless to say, I was thrilled to see that. After that, my husband and mother-in-law took turns apologizing to me. But I didn't change my mind. And eventually, he signed the divorce papers, and I moved out the next day. My parents are far away, so I can't rely on them, and I'm currently staying at a business hotel near my work. But a friend of mine is a real estate agent, and she's going to introduce me to a nice place in the near future. To be honest, I'm having a great time. I guess you could call it a sense of freedom. I can't believe how happy I am after my divorce. There were some good things about my marriage, and I have no regrets. But in the end, I think I did the right thing by getting a divorce. I'm so glad my mother-in-law insisted that we get a divorce. Well, I guess my mother-in-law and my ex-husband didn't think it would come to this. Well, I'm a stranger now, so I don't really care. After I left home, my ex-husband called me once.
Please, give me another chance. I want to start over with you.
But I ignored it. Of course, I have no intention of giving him what he wants. So I'm going to enjoy my life alone from now on. I'm going to work hard and have the life of my dreams. Thank you for hearing me out. I hope everyone got the message that the only way out of a tough situation is to take action. No amount of apologies from her husband seemed to change Isla's intentions. I think Isla was not being stubborn, but she really wanted a divorce. Even after the divorce, the husband still seems to have lingering feelings for Isla, but there is no way to get her back now. I think that the mother-in-law may be regretting her past actions as a result of this situation. Isla has started her second life. What would you do if you were in the same situation as Isla? Thank you for watching to the end. Please give us a high rating and subscribe to our channel. It would be a great encouragement for us. I'd also love to hear your comments, so please do. See you in the next video.